tea. Please excuse the very interesting choice of light I'm using today. I am using all natural light because these days have been so sunny and beautiful. I just want to soak in as much vitamin D as possible. Today I am making a pirate shirt, or actually probably for the next few days, because I imagine it'll take me more than a day. But I'm making a pirate shirt, and it'll be my first time making a piece of clothing for someone else. One of my goals is actually just to make pieces for people, customize pieces and all that stuff. So today I will be making a more casual wear pirate shirt. Okay, the sun is getting into my eye just a little bit, but materials I'll be using today include linen, so the whole entire shirt will be linen, sewing machine of course, threads, and I might add some buttons for the collar. I'm still trying to figure that out. I think it'll come along once I actually see it in its entirety. It's gonna be a pretty raw process because again, this is my first time making those shirts, and so it'll be fun. So let's get started and andiamo. First, I started by creating a rough draft of the pieces I need to cut and their measurements. Namely, I drew out the body, sleeves, cuffs, and gussets. So for the base model of this project, I actually followed the YouTube tutorial by Aura Lynn, whose video I'll link down below, as they include a free pattern that I follow roughly. Then I cut out each piece I need out of a linen fabric. All in all, I initially cut out a large piece for the body, 2 sleeves, 2 cuffs, and 2 gussets. To start the sew, I sewed the cuffs first, folding the cuff fabric in half, then closing the sides off with a straight stitch and turning it outside in so the raw edges were hidden inside the cuff. I then added the sleeve gusset to the sleeve where the underarm would be. After that, I sewed the sides of the sleeves together, leaving 4 inches at the end where the cuffs would be inserted, and also hemming that 4-inch sleeve gap as well. To add some traditional features to this modern pirate shirt, I gathered the tip of the sleeve where the cuff would be attached. Then, struggling to pin things together correctly, I was able to sew the cuffs on. Because the cuff is folded in half, I sewed one part of the fold to the seam allowance of the sleeve, then covered the raw edge that was created by sewing the other half of the cuff to the inner side of the sleeve on top of the raw edge. Repeating for the other sleeve, I gathered the sleeve edge, pinned the cuff to the sleeve, then sewed them together. And this is what the sleeves look like with the cuffs attached. I finished the cuffs up by sizing in and hand sewing the buttons and buttonholes. Not gonna lie, hand sewing buttonholes are a really weak point of mine that I'm trying to get better at, but for this project, it is what it is, progress over perfection. I'll get them looking nice one day, or learn how to use a buttonhole foot finally, depends. I am hopefully at the last stretch of this sewing project, so I have the sleeves done, as in they're just buttoned up, the cuff is on. I just need to attach it to the actual body, and I also need to gather this just a little bit to get it to like a 11-inch gather, because this is like 15-inch some right now, and I'm going to attach it to the body, and then I'm going to hem the entire body and then do the collar line, and then Bob's your uncle. So let's gather this, let's gather the other sleeve, and then let's attach it to the body. And if I can get to the collar today, then all the better. Next, I gathered the other side of the sleeve where the gusset is. However, I didn't gather the gusset piece itself, just the actual arm piece around the underarm and shoulder. Again, this is to add that traditional flair to this modern pirate piece. Now, attaching the sleeve to the body was my next point of struggle. Honestly, this entire project was a learning curve, but the first time I pinned and attached the sleeve to the body and sewed it in, after everything was done, I realized the raw edges of the body were covered, handy dandy, great. But then the sleeves for some reason were inside out. I don't know why I even did this, but eventually I figured it out and took all the stitching out and reattached the sleeves to the body properly, with the sleeves right side out with a plain seam attaching it to the body. It's kind of hard to explain because I don't even know what my brain was thinking either, but eventually we got the arms on right the second time around. Once the sleeves were on, I sewed closed the side seams of the torso, or body I suppose, leaving 3 inches agape but hemmed at the bottom for that typical pirate flare. Then I hemmed the bottom of the torso piece as well. For the collar and neckline, I tried to make it simple and minimalistic to retain a modern, casual aesthetic. I followed another YouTube tutorial roughly to make the collar, which I'll link down below, but essentially I cut a V-line shape for the neckline and sewed it into the collar line of the torso on the outside of the fabric. I then used that sewed in V-line piece as a guide to cut the actual neckline, as it was not cut out prior. Because the V-line fabric I put in was placed on the outside of the shirt, I folded it in and ironed it down to make a very basic neckline. It's not the cleanest look, but it's also my first time trying to do this random technique that I improvise. So the theme here is, it is what it is. I am learning, and it didn't turn out terrible. Moving on from the neckline to the collar, I measured out the length for the collar by folding the neckline in half, then measuring one side of the neckline to the desired length of where the collar would end. I doubled that measurement of the half neckline to get the total length of the collar. I measured about 11 inches for the collar in length, adding an additional 1 inch for seam allowance for a total of 12 inches. Looking back, I would do an inch or two longer, but this still worked regardless. I wanted the collar to be about 2 inches high, so I made the height of the collar 4 inches so the collar could be folded in half like the cuff was, as it would be attached in a similar manner. I cut out the collar and sewed the sides, then attached it with a very small seam allowance tightly to the collar line with the first fold of the fabric to the collar line, then covering the raw edges on the inside of the shirt with the second fold of the fabric being sewed on top of the raw edge.
Eventually,
the arms are honestly just comically long. Yeah, this is a extra puff poet pirate shirt. It's for my partner who's a foot plus taller than me, and I'm tiny. It is a Wattpad height difference. Maybe I'll have him model it one day. He lives far, so it's not super feasible, and I won't be seeing him anytime soon. But just trust when I say that it should look good, and I'll make alterations as needed. I'm really digging the collar. I might actually have to make it a little bit longer in the future, just because I kind of wanted the collar to go a little bit lower or longer or down the chest, but that is a-okay. I am very content and happy with the overall look. I think it looks really cute, and I want one for my own. I really love the gathered look. It's a little bit more effort to do, of course, but makes it look genuinely like a vintage poet pirate shirt, so cannot complain. Oh, I just love it. I wish it fit me properly so I could actually wear it out, because it's such an artsy... Oh, I need to fix these. There's some tailoring to do. I need to fix things here and there because it's a bit rough, but I'll have my partner try it on first and then I can do the alterations after. I'm just happy with the overall look. Like, it actually came out as God intended. So I am satisfied. Oh, puffs! It's extreme puff! Okay, I keep moving because I'm trying to model it or whatever. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this haphazard DIY as a beginner, trying to learn how to sew better. We are out here trying, and at least we're making full products, so I'm genuinely content. As funny as this looks on me, because it is freaking large and I'm tiny, it was so fun to make, and most importantly, I learned a ton. So, without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next video.